with the voice on the speaker. Sunny on the mic and it's all round. Conversations are bigger. So fill my cup, fill my cup. I'm already tuned in all the way up, all the way up. Can't stop listening now. Sunday wind down. Yes, you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening. Sunday wind down. Yes, you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay when I hear your voices. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay when I hear your voices. I'm okay. Working from Monday to Sunday, 7 o'clock till I'm worn out. Hustle, I can make an anthem. Give me a break, let me walk out. Trying my best to stay sober all over the weekend. I know grass is only greener when you water. So after the grind, I go. Sunday wind down. Yes, you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay when I hear your voices. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Sunday wind down, baby. I'm okay.
Hi everybody. My name is DJ Sunny Sistuki,
And I'm yours truly, Ida Alicia. Welcome to the Sunday Wind Down podcast
where we drink wine,
and whiskey.
talk about real issues.
We do. We learn from each other
And
we
we
laugh
laugh
a
a
little.
Speaking of laughing a little, today's topic won't have a lot of laughter in it.
Right, I know, Sunny.
Yeah.
We are talking, September is considered National Suicide Awareness Month. And we're talking about that. We thought about wrapping up September with this topic because we do need to have those difficult topics,
Yeah.
right?
I was thinking about it as we're talking about this topic. Ida, do you have any one that you know of that has experienced people who have either committed suicide or have gone through this with their loved ones or their family?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I think, yes, I have. I know two people, actually. One is family and one is just a friend. And both times, it's been really hard for the people left behind. Obviously, we don't know what the person who committed suicide was thinking about or what even led to that point. But the people left behind, for me, it pained more that we didn't understand. I wish we knew, and I have had that experience. I don't know about you. Have you had anybody close to you commit suicide, or even just try, maybe not successful, but even try to commit suicide?
So I only know, as I was thinking about this, I could only think of like one person that I know of that was an older gentleman, not older but middle-aged, probably in his early 50s, moved here from Kenya at that age. And I remember I had an older pickup truck.
Okay.
And my only interaction with him was he needed a car. So I had this extra pickup and I sold it to him.
Okay.
Right? And I let him make payments on it and all that. So he's getting... that was my only interaction with him. And I was like, a fellow Kenyan, let's help him out, whatnot.
Right.
Almost a year later, I got the news that he had hung himself in the closet of the house he was living in.
Did you guys see any signs? I don't know if you knew him personally or to a personal level, but
See, I didn't know him that well, but I know he left a wife, he left kids. It was just moving to the diaspora and the stresses of being here. It seems like he just didn't see any other way out. And so this topic is very new to me. I thought it's something that was something I knew a lot about.
Yeah.
But I really don't.
Well, that's interesting. And that's why today's episode, we are partnering with people who know and can teach and tell us more about how to handle these situations in case somebody does commit suicide, and also how to prevent, this situation to coming to life. And we are partnered with African for Mental Health. We're actually doing a simultaneous live. So if you're watching from that page, hi, welcome. This is Sunday Wind Down Podcast. And if you're watching from the Sunday Wind Down Podcast, I don't know what's happening with my words today. If you are watching from the Sunday Wind Down Podcast platform, we are also live on Africans for Mental Health. And you can go and show them some love and support. We do have some really, really great people that we're looking forward to have this conversation with. But before we go too far, we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking time and always just supporting us. And today we are dressed by the one and only DJ Sunny. Our shirt says Sistuki. We'll give you more details on that. We have female, if you're not watching but listening in, we have female t-shirts, female apparels, and male, and we look good.
Well, these are unisex. They're not male.
Well, fine. Okay, fine. But we are dressed by DJ Sunny Sistuki. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone that's tuned in. I see David Odwar, Pablo Nzengu is in the building, Sally Nyambita, Jacqueline Lachon. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in today. It's a very, very sobering topic. And as we wait for our guest to join in, like Ida mentioned, we are partnering with Africans for Mental Health today.
Yep.
And we have Dr. Becky Opar,
Yes.
who is our special guest. As we wait for her to log in, I'm going to briefly introduce her here to the to what we have.
Yep.
Dr. Becky is Kenyan. She's a health professional who did her master's at University of Arlington, and she did her doctorate at the Rocky Mountain University of Health Professionals in Utah. She's a board-certified child and adolescent psychiatric nurse practitioner. She is the founder and CEO of 2 healthcare practices. We'll let her tell us about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I came to realize, as much as I did not know much about this topic, when we decided to talk about it,
Right?
that even when, like Ida, if a good friend came to you
Yeah.
and said, I've decided to end it all.
Oof. I don't know how I would react, Sunny. I would be like, why? But you have such a good life. Why? I would try to push them to look at the positives in their lives. But at that point in life, for them, I don't feel like that's what they would like to hear. I feel
Right.
like they would like for me to just sympathize and understand. But I would try to talk them out of it by telling them, but you're so beautiful, but you're so successful, but your family loves you. But that's me. I don't know how you would handle it.
Right, but I want to, so to talk about your, what you just said about you would ask them why, but you would try to understand. It's because you thought about it.
Right.
But usually when someone comes to you with something like that, they're not thinking about it.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
mean, you don't have time to think about it. And that's why I think it's important we have a professional that has studied this field and has a lot of insight on it. So again,
Yeah.
while we wait here real quick, let me just see if there's a...
I actually see a lot of people watching, and I see my friends from Kenya and the guy who acted as my dad in Mother-in-Law, Patrick Okech. He's such a huge supporter. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. I just want to give him a shout out. Hi, Patrick. And I see my mother watching, and I think, is the doctor calling in right now?
that is what I am figuring out right now.
Okay, awesome. So again, if you just joined us, we are talking about suicide awareness and mental health. We are trying to introduce Miss Dr. Becky Opar. And as we wait on her, I'm going to be, I see a comment here by Eddie that says, hold on. It's very sad. It says, in ATL, in Atlanta, Georgia, we had the highest suicide rate from 2005 to 2013. That is insane. I cannot believe that. I mean, 2005 to 2013, Atlanta was the highest ranked in suicide rates. That's very, very crazy. And I see a comment by Jacqueline Lachon saying, since the pandemic, 40% of suicide rates have increased since June 2020. That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to talk about this. Because we have to learn how to kind of, I don't know, lessen that 40% is a lot. You know, we're trying to figure out how to handle these issues, Sunny, how to talk to people in this kind of, and I don't know, some people may say it is a mental illness. I feel different. about it. I don't know if it's a mental illness. Sometimes you might go to suicide because you don't have any way out according to what you're thinking at the time, you know?
Yep. So, Ida, I'm going to let you kind of take over this while I take care of something very
Okay.
technical here.
That's no problem. Well, I'll keep talking. You know I like to talk. But hey, welcome again to the Sandy Wind Down podcast. We're talking about suicide awareness. We're waiting to connect with Dr. Becky Opar, who is about to call us and call us live. And you can ask your questions if you do know somebody who has been affected with suicide or had a loved one take their own lives. Please let us know about that. Ask your questions, send questions. We have professionals here. Today we are partnered with Africans for Mental Health organization, which was predominantly started by Kenyan women, which is also a very good thing. Shout out to them. It's
From my understanding, it's three sisters that started Africans for Mental Health. Yes.
Yeah. And they're doing a great thing. You know, the Sunday Wind Down podcast tries to support Africans and also just bring to light the things that Africans do. And this is one of the really good things that they are doing right now. I see. Thank you for joining, guys. We're still trying to connect to Dr. Opar here. Somebody, David Odwar, is tuned in from Kenya. Thank you so much for tuning in. I see somebody saying, in our culture doesn't talk about suicide at all, which is true. Our culture does not. And when growing up in Kenya, I know it used to be something that if somebody tells you, oh, I want to take my own life, you're like, this person just wants attention. But what if they actually come and actualize the fact, you know? So that's why we're here trying to talk about this and trying to connect. Go ahead and share. We just started the live, so go ahead and share. Tell your friends we're live. It's a very important topic for us to discuss. But
Yeah, it definitely is. I think the doctor is still trying to get ready to be on the camera.
That's fine.
So
Sunny.
while we wait for her, some of the things we want to talk about, that we want to really discuss is, number one, and we'll try and get a professional opinion on this as well, but like, how do we identify someone who's suicidal? Like,
I don't know, would they tell you? If I told you, well, I am having suicidal thoughts, how would you approach that?
well, I know you, right?
Right.
So that makes it, oh, here, we have the doctor.
Okay.
But I know you, so I would approach it differently.
Okay.
You know, but I think sometimes it's a lot about like attention seekers. There's this stigma that people who say they want to commit suicide, they're seeking attention and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and get our doctor on the call right now, and we'll go from there. Hello, Dr. Becky.
Hi, Sunny. Hi, Miss Ida.
Hi.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. So
Good
good
to
to
see
have
you.
you.
I am so sorry. I had technical difficulties.
That's okay.
That's all right.
It's expected. So we understand you're in Texas right now, correct?
I am in Dallas, Texas. Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for finding time to join us today. And we've introduced you to our audience, and we're very excited to have you. While you were getting on camera, we were just talking about identifying someone who is suicidal. Like, for a regular person like
Yeah.
us, who has no professional experience
Or professional background
or
in
professional
handling
background,
this.
or even having someone who has gone through this,
Right.
what would you think are the key identifiers?
So, for a regular person who does not really know what psychiatric disorders are, it comes out down to simple things like, has the person stopped doing the things that they used to do? Have they been isolating themselves? Are they talking less or not going places at all? Sometimes they will throw in words as simple as, I have no reason to be here. I don't see why I should be here. It's not even worth living. It's just little things that can cue you to know that something is going on. But there's a broader spectrum to it than just that. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I have been there. I've been at a place where I'm like, you know what? I've had a long week. I don't want to go outside. I don't feel like hanging out with my friends. I just want alone time. Now, how would I, as a person who has zero background in psychiatric mental health, how would I identify myself falling into that space? Like, identify a bad week and identify, hey, you're just having a bad week, or are you about to drop into depression? How can I separate that?
What is the cause for concern for their friends?
Right. Dr. Becky?
Okay, so I lost you there for a minute, but
Okay.
I believe the question was, how would you identify just a regular old bad day or week
correct.
versus something more serious?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so usually this is what we look at. If you are not doing well for a long period of time, more than is normal or routine for you,
Right.
and you absolutely cannot come out of it. For example, are you able to do the daily chores, the daily things that you normally would do?
Okay.
If you have kids, you would be getting up, getting ready to get the kids, cook, go to the groceries, do laundry.
Right.
If you have a job, it would be going to your job and performing your duties. Now, we cannot really talk about suicide risks without absolutely talking about depression. The two go hand in hand. And the reason why we have to talk about depression is because people don't often recognize what depression is.
Correct.
Until it is too late. The key identifier to depression is if you feel stuck and you feel like there's no way forward from where you are, wherever it is that you were saying you are at Ida, if you cannot come out of that and you have tried everything you know, now without going into the clinical symptoms of everything, if you absolutely cannot come out of where you are, which is not a good place, it is serious enough. So most of the time, suicide is just being stuck and feeling you have no way out.
Interesting, because I don't want to say I have depression, right? Because it's a stigma to, and we are Kenyan, and being born and raised in Kenya, it's like you have depression. What can possibly, they make it such a light issue to like, what could possibly stress you enough to get you into depression? They make light of everything. Now, I'm afraid to say maybe I had depression a season in time. You know what I mean? Like, is it, I don't know if my question is coming out correct, but you said if I can't come out of the funk, well, I'll know that I'm getting into depression. But then I'm afraid to admit that I'm getting into depression. How would you help me if I was your friend? You can just see me sinking, but I can't even admit you. So they say the first whatever of something is acceptance. Yeah. So what if I can't accept because of my background and I'm Kenyan and we don't condone mental, problems? I'm like, no, I'm good. How can I, without accepting that I'm falling into depression, seek help?
So I'm so glad you brought that up, honestly, because that is the big problem that we are having, especially as immigrants, and me personally as a Kenyan, because where we come from, we do not talk about these things. We don't get depressed, and God forbid, no, we don't feel like we want to hurt ourselves, except we do have a suicide rate, and we know people that have committed suicide back home and here that are immigrants that are Kenyans. So I'm glad you're doing this show because the way out of it, first of all, is to start talking about it. And we're doing it right now.
Right.
We have got to talk about it. We can't talk about it to everybody, so I get that. So that's where the professionals come in. If you can't tell your friend how you feel because they're probably going to talk about you with somebody else. So we try to make it that people have access to professional help.
Correct.
And have the numbers, and at the very least, at least have the hotline number because they don't know you. You could call that number if there's nobody else to call. And I'm not sure if we displayed the number on there, but I think we do need to. Sandy, do we have the number?
We don't, but if I get it, I'll be more than happy to figure out how to get it displayed on there.
Yeah, and we can pin it in the
I
comments.
can give you the number.
Yeah.
It's 1-800
1-800
273 8255.
All right, guys, 1-800-273-8255 is the hotline to call if you need help, somebody to talk to. If you're not comfortable talking to your friend, your spouse, your mom, you can call 1-800-273-8255.
I actually have some questions, just based on what you said. Real quick, when you first started the conversation, you talked about psychiatric disorders being so broad. So if, and that's such a stigma, we mental illness, psychiatric disorders, people don't want to feel like they have a psych disorder.
Yeah. Like, I'm not crazy.
Are psychiatric disorders as few and far between, or do we all kind of live with them on a daily basis?
Oh my gosh. So to answer your question, let's just start with this. Psychiatric disorders is a disease of your brain. So is your brain a part of your body?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In as much as it is part of your heart, and as much as it's connected, the same chemicals that we have that the biosynthesis of the heart and everything is the same things that we have in our brains. So to discredit psychiatric disorders is like saying you have a heart attack, but you don't want to attend to it,
I see.
because that's in essence is what we are saying by not wanting to admit and talk about it.
So, in simpler terms, a mild psychiatric disorder is like ignoring a sore throat as well.
Well done, well said.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And from there, if not treated, it gets worse, and that's where we end up with either what we call a nervous breakdown or suicide.
Gotcha. And then in our culture, it is often thought that if you are going to go into depression, or if you're going to go into shutting down your nervous system, or whatever it may be, it's construed as a sign of weakness. And so a lot of times, I know especially for men, I know women as well.
As well, yeah, but mostly
like,
for men, you're
for
right.
men, like if a man cries or if a man shows emotion in our culture, it's a sign of weakness, and it prevents them from getting help. I mean, how could you penetrate that cultural
barrier,
barrier?
maybe?
Yeah, that comes with our culture.
Oh my gosh. So I'm glad you said that, Sunny. And I cannot respond without throwing in a few statistics. But to answer your question, I think we probably should start with our boys right when they're young. Because we often tell our boys to not cry. Don't cry like a girl. Why you being emotional like a girl?
Right.
It's always like a girl, like a girl. So they from the beginning, when they're young, they're taught to invert their feelings and not talk about their feelings. And we do need to change that in itself. But having said that, it is also sad to note that men are 4 times more likely to complete suicide.
Oh my
they are more
goodness.
likely to commit suicide than females. So now remember, they don't talk about their feelings. They don't want to show what they're feeling. They can't get help. But they are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, and most of their attempts are lethal, as in deadly. They
Yeah.
end up dying. So
Wow.
so I cannot say it lightly that we do need to start encouraging our boys, our men, to talk about how they feel.
Correct.
And just to bring a little perspective onto it, there's 2 kinds of depression that confuse people. And either this goes back to your question.
Right.
There's what we call circumstantial depression, and then there's clinical depression. So if you have circumstantial depression, that is, say you got divorced and things are just off, your house just went.
Yeah.
And it's a circumstantial thing. Any normal human being would feel bad about that. If you didn't, then you're not human.
Right.
Right.
But you're expected to come out of that at some point in time.
Right.
If you lose a loved one, you will feel sad, depressed for a minute.
Correct.
But we expect you to come out of that. Now, clinical depression, on the other hand, does not necessarily have to have a cause. You don't have to even know what caused it. It can be triggered by the circumstances.
Okay.
However, it's much bigger than just the circumstances. And often you cannot just snap out of it or just come out of it. And that's when we usually recommend that you get professional help.
Wow. That is
So did that
something.
answer your question?
You did.
Sunny?
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a fine barrier between. The other problem is we're constantly thinking, what will people think, right? So we are always in this zone of I don't want people to think I'm crazy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, there's that part of it too. Like mental health is such a stigma.
Yeah, and if I may say so, mostly in Kenya, you're like, and I'm gonna say this in Swahili, wewe ni wazimu tukupeleke Mathare. You know, like when you admit having a mental weakness, they're like, are you crazy? Should we take you? Mathare, for those who don't know, is a very well-known
Mental
hospital
institute.
for
Yeah.
mental institute. Actually, I guess that's the best way to say it. So people don't admit that, oh, I have a problem, because you know crazy people are taken there. So you're not crazy. Like, you know, fix your life and, you know. But you said something I wanna get into a little bit here. You said our boys, we have to be like, yeah, stop, we say stop crying like a girl. No, 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 no. But at that age, right? That's where we instill this fear of them showing their emotion. I want to ask you this. How do I identify suicidal thoughts in a kid? Because we did lose somebody. I know we had talked about this in a previous podcast. How old was he? 16-year-old. 16-year-old, I think he was. Yeah. He hung himself in the house. And we were talking about quarantine and all these things. But for me, who's an adult, you can say, oh, Ida got into depression because she got a divorce, because her car was repoed,
or lost your job.
Or she lost her job. But then in a kid, what could make it so big? Like, why would you take your own life? Because, I mean, you're still a child, That's my understanding as a person who doesn't have a psychiatric background. You're a child. We feed you. We take care of you. What else could you want?
Right.
But tell me how I can identify suicidal thoughts in a child, in a kid, teenager.
Okay, I'm gonna back down just a little bit. So a child is anything from 0 to, well, let me say 3 to 13.
Okay.
And then teenagehood is 13 to 17.
Right.
The risk is most at 13, at the teenage age, and I must say that because they have the means.
Okay.
They have the means to fulfill the intent. So a suicidal ideation or idea without means means nothing. So, for example, a 6-year-old once came to my office and told me, well, the school referred them because they had suicidal ideation. And so they came to the office and I asked him, and he said, well, I was planning on driving a car over a bridge. And so a 6-year-old, first, their foot can't even get to the pedal.
Right.
And they don't have a car. And even if they did, they probably wouldn't get anywhere because they don't know how to drive.
Correct.
So when you don't have the means, it's not as serious. So then let me come back to the teenagers. They have the means, the know-how, the strength, the energy, and everything.
Correct.
And so they are the age that we actually keep an eye on. We are worried most about them, and this is why. They're not usually very vocal. Most teenagers that I know like to stay in their rooms anyways. They don't like to talk to adults, let alone their parents, because the parents are not cool.
Yeah.
So we often rely on now social medias to identify it, or their friends. Sometimes the school will alert you to it, but it is not far-fetched for an adult, a parent, to actually just take a little more time, snoop around into your child's room. Seriously. If they have a diary, read it. And I have a situation, I cannot talk about it, where the child, they ended up committing suicide, wrote a diary backwards. They started from the last page to the first page, and the first page said, "Today I die." And that was the day they died. But they wrote a diary from the back, and mom had no idea. So things like social media, they usually will cry out. Most of the time, they will say something. Their friends will let you know. Reach out to them. If your child has an account, ask them to be your friend so you can at least know what they're thinking.
Okay, but how do I still become the cool parent and still parent? Because, I mean, I'm not cool enough for them to be their friend on social media. They're like, Mom, you can't do TikToks. Like, stop. You're embarrassing me. But I want to be in their life enough to know what they're posting. Like, help me with that thin line right there, or help the parents. I'm not a parent yet, but like help the parents with that thin line, because it's a very thin line, correct?
It is a very thin line, and it's quite a challenge actually, even for us as professionals, because even when somebody comes to your office and they will look at you straight in the eye and say, "No, I don't want to kill myself," and then they leave and the next day you hear that they died. So I say that it's really challenging. We do have to pay attention and pick up on the little cues. There usually is little cues. And for the parents that have teenagers, if we can have them in a conversation, just to the game. So what's going on? What you been up to?
Yeah.
If they're not talking to their friends, find out what happened to their friend. And then the biggest one that I now want to talk about real quick is the gender identity thing that has come on, that is so popular now.
Yeah.
A lot of our kids are struggling with that, and they cannot talk about it, and they don't know who to talk to about that. So if we could be a little open as parents to just hear what they have to say and not say, "Are you crazy?" Because that's the word we always use.
Right. Dr. Becky,
Are you
hearing you
crazy?
say that is
Wow.
even mind blowing because
Yeah.
you were born and raised in Kenya. You
I was
know,
born and raised in Kenya.
you know that if you tell your mother that I am a woman, but I identify as a man, they will return you to their womb. I mean, they will kill you literally if you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's insane. It's not in our culture to like say, okay, I
Yeah.
feel like I like girls.
Yeah.
Or even not wanting to change your gender identity, but being attracted to
To
a
the
different
other-
identity as what is
Correct.
what the society
right.
finds normal.
Sexual orientation. Yes.
Exactly.
So-
Now, if a friend, if say someone I know, a coworker, colleague, friend, anybody comes and or I find out or they tell me they want to end it all. You know, my first instinct would be, I thought about this. My first instinct would be to ask them why.
Yeah.
Is that even the right way to handle it? If that was to happen, how can we help someone as a friend without being a professional?
Yeah. That's a good question.
So wow, Sunny. So you can ask why because oftentimes they don't know why.
Okay.
They really don't know why. But they will talk about how they feel. And so as a friend, depending on how close you are to that friend, I would encourage ask them to see a professional if they can, if you have to drive them there. If they cannot, then you may not leave them. You may have to find some way to be around them. It be your sister, your best friend, or some, because sometimes they just need to talk it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just need to talk it out.
Out.
Yeah.
And being alone is just not the best at that time.
You're right.
So I had this thought, and I may be naive, but let me run it by you and see what your thoughts are. As I thought more about this topic, about suicide, people committing suicide, I felt like, because sometimes, I'll give you my own perspective, I feel like the struggle of life in general has just overwhelmed me sometimes, right? And I can sometimes feel like, man, if I didn't exist, this struggle would end, right? And then, like, you take the struggle as a challenge, and that's what keeps pushing you. For me, the daily struggles of life, I take them as a challenge. I take them as something to overcome, and that's what keeps me going. Is it fair to say that those that decide to take the other path, that decide to commit suicide, how can we? Is it fair to even say that we should try and change the way they think about the struggles, about what's making them want to go that way? Again, I'm very naive to this, but that's just what comes to my mind.
So what you're describing is what we call coping skills. So not every one of us is born with good coping skills. Some are better at coping than others. This is a fact. Some are horrible. And so some things are acquired. You really can be taught how to cope with some things in life, difficult situations. You've seen people that always, no matter what you say, the glass is always half empty.
Yeah.
Life is bad. It is doomed. Why does it have to be like? And then you find some people, no matter what you do, they're diagnosed with cancer. Oh, but I shall overcome this.
Yeah.
The positivity, the level of positivity. So life in general presents itself to us, and in the same manner, it's how we cope with whatever it is in life. So to answer your question, Sunny, yes, we do. We can teach people how to cope with certain things, the life challenges. And that's why we have the therapies, the counselors, the LPCs, social workers, and everything. That's what they do. There was a situation that happened in Dallas, I believe. I don't know if you guys saw it, about a Kenyan lady that literally decided to walk
into traffic.
Onto the
Yeah.
highway,
Yeah.
Into
We saw
traffic.
that. Yeah.
So as a mental health professional, I got very, very interested and curious as to what in the world could have happened.
Right.
And looking into what happened, she just had a series of those challenges that you're talking about, Sunny. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, to the point where she actually lost the very important thing that she thought meant everything to her, which was her license. But if you think about it, there might have been so many situations where she could have probably gotten help, but she didn't. And so the challenge is, how do we even reach out to people like that? So for me, I never knew her, so we take it down to the people that know the person. How can we reach down out to the person? It was just a series of life challenges that she just could not overcome.
Right. And I have a question now. That there happened. How do you help the people that were left behind? Like, so she did take her own life. Well, she had a sister, a brother, a mother, perhaps, I don't know. I'm just thinking, how do you help the people that are left behind? Because people are left with so many questions and pain.
And guilt.
And guilt. I wish I knew. How could I have been of help? How would you say you help the people that are left behind? Or how do even I talk to them as a friend?
So that's why we really need to have people that are trained to do that, because it's quite a challenging task. Right. Now, believe it or not, suicide is a health risk in genetics. It is believed to be passed on in the genes.
Wow.
Yes,
are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So they're saying there are some people that are more prone to have suicide attempt and complete. And if you go down the line, you can hear that there was an uncle that committed suicide, and an auntie, and then a son. So it is imperative. It is so important that we do reach out to people that are left behind, and to just help them cope with what's going on.
Correct.
It is a lot.
It is
and
a lot.
B, to also just figure out, is there anything that we could do going forward to prevent, such things? And like I said, you cannot talk about suicide without talking about depression, guys. We have to talk. They go hand in hand. It is depression, deep depression, that leads to suicide. That feeling of knowing you cannot come out of whatever it is that you're going through.
That is crazy. Now, I do have another follow-up question on that. For instance, I tried to commit suicide, right? And then I didn't. I wasn't successful. And then I'm good. I think I get counseling and whatever.
Hypothetical, right?
Hypothetical, yes. So, and then I'm not successful. And then what are the chances that I won't try it again? Because, life gets hard. It's a fear. Like, somebody has already tried. What are the chances they won't try again if life gets to that point?
Oh my gosh. So having had an attempt before puts you more at risk of another. And we get down to those coping skills again. So whatever it is that made you to attempt in the beginning is most likely to come again, whether it was breakup with a boyfriend or loss of a job. You're not gonna
be immune from it.
Life.
Right.
So the best way would be after that you absolutely would have to get help. We have what we call cognitive behavioral therapy. It helps your brain to be retrained into how you typically think. It's almost like rebooting your brain.
I see.
And it really does work.
Yeah.
So that is the only thing that I know. And then, of course, getting those coping skills to prevent you from something like that in the future. But the risk is higher after an attempt.
Interesting.
Wow. Whew. This is mind-blowing.
I know.
So bottom line is check on each other. Check on your people. If someone's acting erratical, out of norm, it may just be a bad day, like Ida said, like Dr. Becky said. It may just be a bad week.
Yeah.
Or it may be something more serious than that.
Right.
So now, Dr. Becky, you have a couple of practices, and you're doing a few things in the community. And tell us a little bit about that, and then after that, we'll introduce Awar, who is a co-founder of Africans for Mental Health, and we'll have her introduce how the community can help with this. But tell us about what you have going on about your practices.
Yeah, so we have two clinics in North Texas. The name of the clinic is actually North Texas Behavioral Clinic.
Okay.
We have one location in Arlington and one location in Midlothian/Waxahachie. We treat children and adults from 5 to death with any psychiatric disorders. We are passionate about this, especially for me being an immigrant from Kenya, where this was never talked about. I urge everybody to please, if you can, at least give us a chance. Those who feel like it's not something you can talk about, I know where you're coming from, so and that's why I would like to talk to them. So I'm even more passionate about my immigrants, especially
Right.
Kenyans that are here in the diaspora and other Africans as well. If they can reach out, so our number, I can say it, right, Sunny?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the main number is 972 68. I'm sorry, I don't even know my number. 817-962-0409.
Okay, say that
And
again.
call
Your
that
number
number,
is?
and yes,
Say that again.
817-682-0409. I hope I'm right.
You have to check 0409. You have to double check so that we can be able to share it with our audience here. But I have another question for you right before we introduce our other speaker to join you as well. Would you say it is like cost effective? Like, how expensive is therapy? How expensive is help? Like, can I afford it already? I'm in depression because I don't have this job. How can I afford you?
Oh, okay, so yeah, so that is usually the challenge for majority of the people that have coverage insurance wise. It is not a big deal. You can access any help. For those that don't have coverage, we have what we call self-pay rates that are very friendly.
Okay.
I have seen my colleagues and people for no price at all,
Yeah.
like as courtesy. So it just depends. If you truly need help and you absolutely cannot afford to pay, I still will be able to see you. I may not be able to see you for the entire time of the therapy, but
Yeah.
at least until you get to a better place.
That is so kind of you. I really appreciate that. Because a lot of people, I mean, I know it's your business. It's what puts food on your table. But the fact that you can separate yourself from that and just think as a human being and try to save a life is very impressive to me. Last thing I want to ask you here. Sorry, Sunny, I'm
No,
taking
that's
over.
okay. No, please.
I want to ask you. So if I want to come and talk to you incognito, how do you do that? Like, I don't want anybody to know I'm Ida. I'm out here dancing. I'm the one life of the party, but I am suffering with mental health. There's people like that.
Oh,
How
absolutely.
do you get people to reach you incognito in case somebody would like that?
So we have what we call ghost files. Those are files that never exist, but they really do exist.
Okay.
I don't know how I can leave my my email, but it's
Yeah.
not really private. My email is becky@northtxbehavioral.com.
Becky
Those-
at northtxbehavioral.com. Okay.
behavioral.com. If there is any private issue and you don't need to go to the whole world, you can send me an email. And depending on how it goes, you may be a ghost file. I have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here, you go ahead and tap it.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, because a lot of people will want to, reach out, but then don't want their business out there. So we are gonna pin
The email address.
the email
and
as well.
actually, Dr.
Yes,
Becky,
that
I
comes
found
to me
your
directly, so Sunny, that's good. Yes.
Okay.
I found your phone number. It's 817-962 817-962-0409.
Nice.
So was I right or was I wrong?
Oh, you were
have
wrong.
682. So
Thank you.
That's
yes.
okay.
So 817-962-0409. That's Dr. Becky, and it's northtxbehavioral.com. That's her
That's
website.
right.
Yep.
Thank you. That sounds right.
Yep, that sounds right. And then we also have Awar, who is one of the co-founders of Africans for Mental Health, who we have partnered with on this podcast. So we're streaming again live on our page and on the Sunday Wind Down page, along with our YouTube channel. So we're gonna wait for Awar to
Join us.
and
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
And I was just wondering, how does one get wine when it's virtual? So you guys, it's
Well, we sip, you swallow.
Yeah. we recommend that you have your share on your end, so we can
it's
partake
okay.
together.
I don't drink that, but I thought that was nice.
you
Thank
can have grape
You're
juice.
so funny. You know what's funny, actually, Dr. Opara, that you brought alcohol into it. Now, when people are going through stuff, as we wait on Dr. Award on Award to call in and join
She's
us.
in.
I know. Oh,
Yeah,
she's in. Okay.
yeah. But
As
go
we-
ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. We usually, some people will cope with alcohol. how does that settle with you? Because some people will get into alcohol and just, people become alcoholics because of a situation. No. How do you deal with that?
So we did talk about that with Awar right before I accepted to come to the show.
Nice.
It is absolutely not an issue for me to for you guys to do that. But so alcohol in itself, I would have said, is actually a key risk in suicide.
Oh,
but it's called substance abuse. So there's the difference
Oh.
between just drinking and abusing.
I see.
And so, but there's a thin line like everybody else, Ida. So
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Yeah. So when you have to be very careful about that, because that is the key important risk for suicide. People drown their sorrows in the drink because then they don't feel. And if you can't feel, then you can't deal with whatever it is that is going on. So then you can come out of it.
That is a lot. That's
Wow.
very good. I'm glad we talked about that.
And now we have Awar from Africans for Mental Health. Tell us a little bit about how Africans for Mental Health and the community that you have built around it is a part of what the awareness that we're talking about today.
So, thank you so much for having us on the show. It's really good to have those who have access to community really go out and outstretch to develop a healthier community. In fact, Dr. Becky Opara and I know each other from Texas, and it's interesting how we've circled back in different spaces. So, we've worked in different spaces in the community, and now we're working on mental health.
Yeah.
Different capacities. So she's a mental health professional. We are an organization that's been founded based on just looking at suicide rates in the community, the stigma around mental illness in the community. We have personal conversations around it. Africans for Mental Health was started with my sisters and I, Yvonne and Sally Port, as well as our mom, Doreen, and our dad, Philemon. We decided to start the organization because we wanted to break the stigma of mental illness. And we do this by teaming up with organizations such as Sunday One Down, North Texas Behavioral Clinic. We've done several sessions with the One Mic Show. We've done several events out here in the community in Texas and in Maryland.
Wow.
Our goal truly is to break the stigma of mental illness in the community and to really share the resources that are out there as far as addressing mental illness, getting access. So back to the question that you had previously with Becky in terms of getting access to care, right? A lot of people fear that they don't have health insurance that will cover them. Mental illness, mental health is actually allocated in your health insurance. You have, if you're working with your employer, there's an employment assistance program that you can call in and you can get mental health resources, and they will direct you to speak with a mental health professional. So back to your question. Let me not go out far beyond what you asked.
No, that's totally
That's
fine.
good. That's good. So in terms of community, and is there anything? So for example, if I get a sore throat, I go to the doctor, I get medication, I have a follow up, or if I had a whatever, I have a follow up. Now, if this is we've just discussed that psychiatric disorders are just like any other disorder in the body, right? And I keep referring to a sore throat. There's a long story behind that.
He had a sore throat.
I had a sore throat on Friday and I went to get tested for COVID.
You gave
and
all
I'm
of us a
negative.
scare.
I'm negative. But I thought I have a sore throat and suddenly I was scared. So that's why that's just on the tip of my tongue. But there's usually a follow-up. How are you doing? How are things going? With mental health, and maybe between Dr. Becky and Awar, you can help answer this. Is there a follow-up? Like you came to me with this, because it's such a foreign medical. We know what to do when you get a flu, when you have a headache, but then what happens when your brain starts telling you things like
Yeah.
negative
Yeah.
thoughts?
John, do you want me to go ahead and answer that?
I can chime in and then you can buttress it.
Okay.
So, in terms of a follow-up, when you look at your healthcare plan, healthcare needs, they start with the primary care physician when you go in to visit your primary care, they always have a form you fill out. Are you having these kinds of mental illness, thoughts of, hopelessness, thoughts of depression? Have you been diagnosed with depression or any other mental health disorder that they've diagnosed you with? They will probably send you and recommend you to reach out to a psychiatrist to a therapist, and there is follow-up. So you have to be accountable to your healthcare plan. You have to be compliant with your healthcare plan, just like you would be if you had a sore throat. So you had a sore throat, and they said, "Oh, you need to take this medication. You need to follow up with us in a week or so, and let us find out what's going on." Your goal is to go ahead and do that, and there is definite follow-up, and it's important for you to be compliant. And I learned that word as I, been working in the field, so to speak, as a community advocate and also as Africans for mental health. And the fear is that people don't want to go ahead and follow up with their healthcare provider because they think they'll be judged for it. And sometimes you're scared of going to see your healthcare provider in terms of like seeing your therapist. That's where you can come in, Sunny. If you know somebody who's a friend of yours who was struggling with mental illness and has been diagnosed and is saying, I don't know how to get myself there, you can drive with that person to that particular location if they're open with it. And you can sit outside of your car, or you can walk in their room if they're comfortable. I mean, I've seen where psychiatrists or even therapists have said, do you want a support person to come with you so that you can get your feet on the ground and get the help that you need?
Interesting.
Dr. Becky, you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, so following just up on that, it is so easy now with COVID and everything going on that almost all visits are virtual. So you absolutely do not even have to leave your bedroom to talk to me.
Yeah.
And everything is so virtual. Prescriptions come to your pharmacy delivers it to your door. But it is key, it is important to follow up. There's absolutely not one single shot that just fixes it.
Okay. So yes to the answer, we get follow-ups and everything, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Now
Good. I wanted to thank you guys really for being here with us and for partnering with us. Dr. Becky, everything you have talked about is absolutely valuable. It's so good, and we can't appreciate you enough for taking some time and talking about this, because let's face it, when I first started talking about suicide, I would refer to it as when someone decides to go that way. When I didn't want a word suicide. It's like a bad word. And we need to embrace that this exists. And we need to find help with this within our community. So Ida, did you have anything else to add before we end the call?
I know. I will let you go here shortly. I just have to ask you this. Now, say for example, again, peradventure, somebody in my life committed suicide. And they were successful. They didn't just attempt, they were successful. Do you guys have programs for the family left behind? For example, if it's a husband or a wife, do you have a program where you follow up with them? Sometimes they won't come to you. Do you guys reach out to families that have this kind of situation?
So, Ida, it is hard to reach out to somebody that you do not know. However, as a professional, if I have had them as a patient, then absolutely there is a protocol. We have what we call psychiatric evaluation, and then medication management treatment, and then therapy.
Okay.
And we have personal therapists. They will get the whole family there. It's called family therapy. They have sessions of up to even 9 times, depending on how or what they will need and for how long.
Okay.
So absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Alliance on Mental Illness provides those kinds of resources as well. They have family to family, where if you have a loved one diagnosed with mental illness, and these resources are free. So the reason why I share this blush are afraid of, like, will I be able to afford it? So the AMI is all over the United States. We've teamed up with them on different community events, walks to raise awareness on mental illness, and we fundraise with them. So if you're a person who has been diagnosed with mental illness, or if you have a loved one who's been diagnosed with mental illness, and you need those types of resources, you can reach out to NAMI. They have sessions, as Dr. Opar has shared with you as well.
Awesome, man! Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
this
so much,
information.
both. Yeah.
Now, please share your socials so that sometimes people don't want to email you, just want to go and see. Because somebody said, they put up a comment and they said, it is also very important to note that therapists are not one size fits all. So if one is not a good fit for you, try another one. Just don't give up. And it's good. Somebody may be already going through therapy, and then they're watching you now. They're like, you know what? I may feel comfortable over here, and they may want to kind of get some information before they reach out. So, do you have social media for the organization? How can we follow you? Where can we find you?
So I think North Texas Behavioral Clinic has a Facebook that I think we'll be tagging on, and we also have an Instagram account.
Okay.
We don't have a Twitter yet. I don't know why, but yes, that is, and you can absolutely send a private message on Facebook as well.
Good.
Or just write to me directly. I mean, I gave my email, my personal email on social media.
Right, correct.
So.
What about you,
What about
Awar?
Awar for Africans for mental health?
Africans for Mental Health is on Facebook, Africans for Mental Health in full, as well as on Instagram at Africans for Mental Health. On Twitter, we are African Mental HLT. We are always posting and sharing information. We launched the Africans for Mental Health campaign, where we are asking individuals who have mental illness, loved ones who care for individuals with mental illness, those who are mental health professionals, to reach out to us so we can break the stigma together.
Awesome.
You'd be open to share your own story, and we would go ahead and share it on those social media sites.
That is so
Perfect.
wonderful. My God, you guys
Thank
have been
you.
so great. We thank you so much. We can't thank you enough. Thank you for being Africans and doing this thing with our name attached to it. I mean, because Africans, we're not known to talk a lot about these things.
Yeah.
So having our name attached to this makes it feel closer to home. You're like, okay, these people may understand me. So thank you once again for joining us today.
Thank you guys for
Thank you.
willing to talk about this. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. See you next time.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow. That was amazing. That was beautiful.
If we didn't have them to share these insights, I would not know how to handle any of.
I mean, it is.
I really wouldn't know how to handle this topic. Period.
I know it's a broad topic, very sensitive. Like they said, I can't just come up to you and be like, I want to commit suicide. You're like, why? It's like, I'm gonna punch you in the nose and then commit suicide.
Right.
So they helped us understand how to talk to people in this kind of situation. So
With the whole conversation, one thing came to mind is we really, as a community, as friends, as family, need to learn how to be less judgmental. Because I remember when we started talking about this roughly about an hour ago, I mentioned when someone comes up saying they want to commit suicide or they have suicidal thoughts,
Right.
we tend to say this is an attention-seeking person,
Yeah.
or things like that. We really judge all the time. And I think earlier when we started talking, I saw Pablo, who's a lawyer, says one thing about being a lawyer has taught him not to judge, even though they're
judging. Well, they're not judging. They're trying to justify you.
Exactly.
But I
So-
also have something in the same line, Sunny.
Yeah.
And I saw this somewhere on social media. It says some of us are so afraid to seek help because instead of you guys helping us, you gossip about our problems. That is something. I mean, that hit home for me. It's true. People are like, "Oh, did you hear the tea on Sunny? Did you hear the tea on Ida?" As opposed to like, "Hey, I was asking you for help. I was talking so I can feel a little better." You go and gossip, and that's a problem. So let's try and not do that.
Yeah, let's try and approach people. Be open about it. One thing that I've come to realize is trying to sugarcoat the truth or your version of the truth
Right.
tends to always be detrimental. So if you feel a certain way, or if this is what's really happening, just be direct. It may not be perceived well by the other party, but I think it has an overall positive net effect than not. Ida,
Right.
sometimes I'm direct to offensive.
Yeah, you are. That is so true. Like, gee, you could have said that better.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a great quality as well.
Yeah.
Because at least you get to know what somebody's thinking. And if you're in trouble or are going through something, we don't have to beat about the bush. We know you just, outright and say it. And I see a lot of comments. Do you want to share a few?
Yeah, there's one here by Min Prince. Not mean, but Min, M-I-N. True, we African have a stigma about mental health, and this causes a lot of people to seek help. Not to seek help. Sorry about misreading that. You're right, and we're not here to bash our African people. We're just here to raise awareness. There's so many things we do so well, but there's some things where we need help,
Yeah.
and we need to bring awareness to that.
And that's why we're talking about
And that's why we're talking about it. Here's another one by Gracie, right?
Yeah, I was about to read that one.
Go ahead and read it.
The one that says, and if someone comes to you with a mental health issue and you don't know how to help or what to say, don't make things up. Just listen or guide them to the right people. It's true. A lot of people will say, you know, the wrong things. Don't just say, please lead me to the right people, because if I am in a funk, you're not helping.
Right. Africans for Mental Health we actually say that the person who died by suicide, not committed suicide. When we add the word commit, we are assigning blame and therefore increasing the stigma of mental illness in the community. I've never thought of that.
That is actually...
English has always taught us commit suicide.
Right.
Wow.
Wow, that's something.
That is something.
I know. And they also shared something. They said for those in the US, if you're uncomfortable talking on the phone, you can also text. They have a text line, and that number is 741-741. Yeah, that's the text line. 741-741. Yeah, to be connected to a free trained crisis counselor on the crisis text line. Please let's share the information. I mean, such a great platform to help.
You don't know who you're going to help today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right. You never know.
To add on to what Gracie just said, where if someone comes to you with a mental health issue and you don't know how to help,
Right.
You don't have to make things up, just listen. I've come to realize there's so much power in listening. You don't always have to say something. And there's a difference between listening to respond and listening to understand. And if you listen to empathize with someone, then it'll provoke us to be less judgmental. That's kind of what I've taken out of this conversation.
Yeah. I absolutely agree.
If it makes any sense.
It does make sense. And people do say, try and normalize listening. You don't always have to bring up a situation. I'm like, Sunny, I'm so stressed, man. This happened. Yeah, that happened to me too. No, you don't. Please normalize just listening and not bringing up something that happened to you to try and relate. Sometimes it's far much different than that. And we have learned that today.
True. And the other thing that comes to my mind is everyone is entitled to their feelings and emotions.
Absolutely.
So if someone is feeling down or someone is feeling a certain way, don't dismiss it. They're entitled to it.
Correct.
That is their feeling. Let them work through it. And let's not dismiss it. And that, honestly, I'll be the first. That is something I have had to learn recently, because I was so quick to dismiss people's feelings just because I don't feel that way. Sometimes I think I still am.
Yeah.
And I really need to work on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to validate you here because I don't know. I'm kidding. I mean, I feel different. I think you're very accommodative of people's feelings, so I feel different. But it's a good thing that you already point out something that you think you need to work on, which is what we need to do as human beings now. That was heavy.
Yeah.
That was heavy. I don't know. I feel great though. I feel like I have learned a lot from this topic. I am very, very grateful to Dr. Becky Opar and to Awar and to the whole organization Africans for Mental Health. We are so grateful.
We absolutely are.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow them on all their social media platforms as they put over there. Also, follow us. We're on Spotify at Sunday Wind Down. We're on Google Podcasts at Sunday Wind Down. What's our Instagram?
Our Instagram is at Sunday Wind Down Podcast.
Sunday WD Podcast.
You can tell who handles the Instagram. But we also, if you want, you want to share with us your experience, you can also, or even just a topic that you'd like for us to discuss, or any ideas, or even criticism, positive criticism, and all that. You can also email us on sundaywdpodcast@gmail.com.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, G. Also follow us on our personal social media pages at Ida_Alicia and at Sistuki. Like
Correct.
the shirts. If you want to get your shirts, we're going to give you information. Reach us personally on our social medias. And we got this new shirts that we're showcasing here. Yeah, Madam Producer is dancing behind. You'll see her in a little bit with her t-shirt as well. But yeah, thanks again for joining us. You've been great as always. Thank you for all your conversation. I mean, all your interactions with us. We love and appreciate you guys so much. Sunny, do we have new music for the week?
We're going to play our Sunday Wind Down theme song.
Yay! We love that song. It's our favorite song to play anyways. We are going to do that. And if you don't know, this was powered by Ethan Muziki, which you should go and support him and check out his music. As always, We love and appreciate you
Yep,
guys.
and these t-shirts, the unisex version and the female version, will be available as of tomorrow on afritechzone.com or sistuki.com to make it
Awesome.
easier to remember. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Till next time, it's the Sunday Wind Down team.
Bye.
Sunday wind down, Ida with the voice on the speaker, Sunny on the mic and it's all round. Conversations are bigger, so fill my cup, fill my cup. I'm already tuned in all the way up, all the way up. Can't stop listening now. Sunday wind down, yes you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening. Sunday wind down. Yes, you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay when I hear your voices. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay when I hear your voices. Working from Monday to Sunday, 7 o'clock till I'm worn out. Hustle, I can make an anthem. Give me a break, let me walk out. Trying my best to stay sober all over the weekend. I know grass is only greener when you water. So after the grind, I go. Sunday wind down. Yes, you know I'm listening. Good vibes in the evening. Yes, you know I'm listening.